Hello, everybody. People and different people that are listening to it having a good time here on the Corn Corner podcast. We're a weekly podcast, and we're happy to be here. My name is Wren.
My name is Cam, and I don't have a fun fact that I looked up this week or anything. So, fun fact about me is that I'm currently dehydrated.
What are you talking about? Well, I guess that's kind of, all right. Do you think that a lot of people get dehydrated?
Yeah. I think probably 85% of people are dehydrated.
Now,
Period.
You know that I am dehydrated often, and everybody here with the Corn Corner knows that you always remind me to drink water.
Yep. That's
I got a big
thing
bottle
that came up recently. I had. Do you have it with you? Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. I have my classic one now with a T for T sticker on it from local friend Vis.
Love that.
And on this note, you know how I do the thing where when people are, I'm with people all day, like they're in my house or I'm with them. I count how often they go to the bathroom.
Yep. I do know.
And like how much water they drink. Yeah, that happened with a friend here. They didn't drink any water.
That's not good. Well, for me, I just get going, and I say to myself, I got to get going, so I don't drink the water.
I mean, it's portable, but we don't need to get in the weeds on this one.
We don't have to get in the weeds on this one, but what we are going to be doing is getting in the weeds of another show, and it's not Weeds, which would have been a great show to talk about right now. We're going to...
You're like, no.
Weeds had that woman that kind of looks like Zooey Deschanel in it, right?
Mary Louise Parker, yeah.
I guess.
That's her name. And Zooey Deschanel was actually on Weeds as a bit role, so that's funny. They used to say that.
Wow. Well, we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about a bunch of different Zooey Deschanel properties later. But right now, we're going to be talking about a show that involves one of the most prominent different groups around. I was said to bring in the second golden age of cinema. And by cinema, we're talking about cinema on the small screen, in the houses of many millions, every single day. The Sopranos. You know it. We love it. I've never seen it, but I'm sure it's got to be kind of like Breaking Bad, which I thought was one of the best shows ever made. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
Like, did you look up anything about this to come up with that golden age of cinema thing that you just said? Or were you just like, were you just saying stuff?
I would say let's not get in the weeds about that kind of thing.
No, because it's true.
I know what I know. I know.
Yeah, and it's true.
Italian mobsters. Listen, I know what I know.
Yeah. Is that you doing? Were you trying to do a little impression there?
I would never do an Italian mobster impression. It would be culturally insensitive.
I don't know about that. Anyway,
I think it's one of the ones that we can do.
I don't
actually.
know. Yeah.
No,
I think
not. 0% culturally
They're white
insensitive.
People. Yeah.
Anybody can be Italian. You want to be Italian?
Yeah.
Just do it. You know what I mean?
Mario, Luigi.
It's a me and Mario.
Yeah. Anyway.
So you saw this. You saw Sopranos, and you liked it.
Yeah, but the reason that I brought this up to you at all is because this, like, it's only 2 episodes, but each episode is like a fucking movie length, like an hour and a half.
Wow.
So like this 2 quote unquote episode like docu-series thing just got put up on Max, where the creator of The Sopranos, David Chase, and a bunch of the actors in it and stuff are interviewed about The Sopranos. And there's a ton of like really cool behind the scenes info and footage stuff that I've never seen. Like they had like a ton of casting videos of like various actors running the same lines and just like randos or whatever, but then like you see the guy who gets the role doing the line, you're like, oh my god, like from like the 90s this film is. So it's like, but it was a really cool thing to watch, having myself watch The Sopranos multiple times, and I probably will again now, because it gave it
How
even
many
more
seasons
like.
is it?
It's technically 7, but it's like they split the 6th season into like 2. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
How they do that sometimes. Yeah.
Trust me, I'm aware.
So, yeah.
Breaking Bad might have done that too.
It did actually. Yeah.
Why is it so good? Why do people like it?
So
what is
like,
it?
obviously, I feel like everyone's gonna have different answers. But when it first was on, HBO wasn't like HBO that we know now. It was kind of like they had like Real Sex and Taxi Cab Confessions, and it was kind of like a dirtbag channel in a way.
Yeah.
It didn't have like cinematic offerings or something like that. And I'm sure there were shows. I'm trying to think of like chronologically before Sopranos, like maybe Oz, and I don't know when The Wire was on. There were definitely shows like around when Sopranos happened, but I know Sopranos was the late 90s, and it was one of the first ones that was like, holy shit, like this is like a really big deal, and people are excited to watch this every week. And it's like a intense thing that people have never seen on TV before, where there's like murder and boobs, but it's not porn.
My question to this was, are there moments of gangster type things where they Italian, that kind of situation?
I'd say there's a lot.
I've never
That's
seen
what the
it.
whole show is. And I don't actually know if you'd like it. I think you would.
Is there any? Do they make drugs? I mean, I'm basing a lot of this off of my Breaking Bad knowledge, but not he's trying to make some kind of drug and he sells it. In this, they're not.
No, they don't make drugs. No,
but they sell them.
They're like part of. It's one of many things. I mean, they do all mob dealings and stuff.
They kind of do it all.
Yeah, all crime flows through waste management.
Are there different mob businesses that only do certain things? Got to be specializations. We don't do that. No. We don't do car theft.
I think that.
Right?
I'm trying to think of like in The Sopranos what they all their things deal with money, but I think a lot of the things are like providing security for local businesses, quote unquote. So like they just extort money.
Oh,
it's extorting money for people to keep your store safe.
So, I understand, and if you don't pay them that money, then they're gonna wrap you on the knee or whatever.
Yeah, like the irony is like this is security for your place, but it's security from us.
is so you kind of get caught in this bear trap of sorts where you have to pay them that money, or else they're going to be coming for you, if you know what I mean, in a deadly sort of way.
Yeah, and we don't need to get too into detail. That's it.
Well, shouldn't we get into details the whole podcast? We got 50 minutes left, so I think we should jump into some detail.
I think we got to start from talking about the show and not you learning about mob.
This is one of the, I don't know much about The Sopranos, but one of the common things that people didn't really understand a lot of the mob dealings. So people didn't understand a lot of stuff going on in The Sopranos.
Where'd you read that?
All over the place. Listen, here's my biggest question. Is there anybody in the family that doesn't want to be in the mob anymore and wants to maybe cut clean or something?
Yeah, that's definitely like a storyline that comes up multiple times through the entire series. But you can't.
Did the series go on too long?
I don't think so. I think that the story went weird places, and then it had the iconic ending that people were like pissed about. Where do you know anything about how The Sopranos ended?
Well, Breaking Bad did that, where they went only as long as they needed to go. And if it's anything like that,
Yeah.
then I know that they got out when they needed to.
I think Breaking Bad kind of did a similar ending too, where like it left it ambiguous in a way of what happened, and it went to black. You know what I mean?
Tell us about the ending of The Sopranos. I'm kind of curious.
Well, it's just that, you know, there's 6 seasons of buildup of turmoil, and you know, will Tony survive? Is whatever? Are people gonna kill him? Is he going to just like die from whatever his health issues and stuff? A ton of like that kind of stuff. And there's like a final scene where him and Carmela and their like son, the whole family's meeting in a diner because it's him, Carmela, AJ, and Meadow, the daughter, and they're like waiting for Meadow to show up, and she's like having trouble finding parking, and it creates anxiety. And then in the diner there's like weird characters that the camera keeps showing that are like looking at the Sopranos, and there's like a ton of anxiety building and whatever. And then like he puts "Don't Stop Believin'" on the like little jukebox thing in the booth. How, you know, diner places used to have those.
Oh, yeah.
And there's like all this like tension built, and then the door opens, but the camera's looking at Tony, like at the table, but you hear the ding bell of the door opening, and he looks up, and then it just goes to black, and the series is over. Like, that's it.
That seems bad.
People were
like that?
No, people were mad.
I would be pissed if they did that.
I don't know. Well, so why though? Because that's like I like how we're just jumping right to the very end of this huge series.
You gotta
make
a fucking decision. Make a fucking decision. Walter White was murdered. There's
you don't know
make a
that he died
decision.
at the end of that. You
He's
don't know
dead.
that he died at the end of Breaking Bad.
He's fucking dead.
You made that decision that he's dead. I have to no. I have to say, Vince Gilligan did not show Walter White like verify on screen that he did not have a pulse or that he stopped breathing. He got shot and laid down, and then it went to black.
But also he decided that Jesse should live. He made decisions.
Okay.
In Sopranos, they've got to make decisions. So that you got to make decisions.
But then there's so many things that end in an ambiguous way that you get to decide.
I don't like
so
any of
mad
it.
at all of those things? Okay.
Probably.
I kind of
Fuck
like
you
it.
doing?
Like
You're right.
It's
Go on.
I think that you think that it's a lack of decision and maybe lazy and lacking follow through for a writer or director or whatever to choose to leave an ending ambiguous. But I think that it's more of a fun, bold move because you've worked. This is like this guy's life work. Like this was like 10 years at least of shit, and he ended it the way that he wanted to, not because he was like Game of Thrones bullshit pressured by the studios to come up with some other fucking weird whatever crap. He was like, this is it, to the point where other people that were on the show were like, man, what the fuck? And he was just like, man, like, which is, I'm like, baller move. I respect it. I don't know.
I respect the decision-making process that he followed through with what he thought was right. I don't think it's I still think it's boring, but I respect that he did his thing.
Why does every story need to have a definitive ending, though?
I guess they don't, because people love Soprano show and it doesn't have a definitive ending, etc., and we're talking about it. I guess just from my own movie and TV show, really, as what we're talking about, preferences, I prefer when it has a little bit of a defined ending.
Yeah, that's like
in Breaking Bad.
Again, it's not defined. It is more defined than this, I will say, but it is still ambiguous. It's like a cliffhanger at the end of season with, kind of, but they, there's a point
like a show hanger.
a point that the creator of Sopranos made in this docuseries thing that I watched was that people were, at the time when Sopranos was made, people were mostly used to shows that were the good cop show where the bad guy goes away in the end and everything ends up happy and everything's like neatly tied up, whatever. Yeah. So he wanted to do something that wasn't so like obvious or so easy to choose sides or you know, the protagonist of the show, Tony, is a fucking piece of shit, like on paper. Like he's trying to be a good dad and good husband, kind of, but then like consistently cheats on his wife and is borderline abusive, if not like fully abusive to like multiple people. He's, I mean, obviously a mob boss, so he like is a murderer, and does terrible things to people. Almost kills his own mom. Spoiler alerts for Sopranos, by the way.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
But still, you continue watching the show and in a way root for him, which is very similar to Breaking Bad, where like Walter fucking sucks. Like after like season 2, you're like, this guy is an asshole. Like he is such a piece of shit, but you're still watching to see what he does.
He loves to say, "I'm the one who knocks." He loves that line.
I love those comics. Baby Holly, run.
I forgot about those.
They're so good.
But we're talking about Sopranos, not Breaking Bad. Even though we've demonstrated that there are a lot of parallels between these two universes, a lot of people think that they might be in the same world, potentially. I was just thinking, it does add more context because Sopranos aired in 1999, and the last episode was in 2007. So that is actually, 1999. You're right. So maybe in that time period, having a show that kind of said that was appropriate.
That said what?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, just kind of said nothing, kind of just let it go.
Well, maybe
that's cool.
This comes back to something that I feel like we talked about last episode or one before, where like everything doesn't have to have some profound message that makes you question your philosophy or ideologies regarding like how you live life. And sometimes it's just like a good story is just a good story, and things can just be a good story for the sake of it, and you don't have to relate to every piece of it. And I feel like that's a thing that Sopranos did really well. I can't fucking relate to shit in that show. Well, actually, that's not true, because one of the main the sorry, the like plot, the what if, that like the story what if, it's like what if a mob boss had crippling anxiety disorder and ends up going to therapy. That's like the whole.
What a great premise.
Yeah.
Does he ever get his anxiety disorder fixed? Probably not.
Well, it is a through line in the whole show of him going and how it manifests. So the whole show is just so fucking good, honestly. And the pilot episode even is like, oh my god, because the whole thing is that like there's this family of ducks that sets up in his pool at home in like rural Jersey, and he like watches them every day as like the ducklings grow up and is like very attached to them and very invested in them in a way that makes him more like humanized to you as a viewer, because you're like, this guy's a literal murderer, but he cares so much about this duck family and is so excited about them. And it gets to the point where eventually they get big enough and they fly away, and he watches them fly away and just like has a massive panic attack and passes out. And it's like a bunch of symbolism and shit, but the whole thing is like he ends up going to therapy, and the doctor is like, when did you feel this manifested enough for you to finally come here, whatever. And he's like, I guess since the ducks left. Like it's like, yeah. So that's like the whole show is off of that. Oh Jesus.
Has that become a meme? I guess when the it says that?
I have hold on, wait. It's right here. Hold on. Entertain everyone.
Everybody, for our audio-only listeners, right now, Cam is running to the back of his room, grabbing a T-shirt out of a box. It's hard to see back there, but he's about to hold it up for us. White T-shirt, brave choice for a T-shirt. You're probably going to be eating a spaghetti and meatball in. Look at that. It says something. Can't really tell because it
says
so
Dr. Melfi.
blurry.
It says, "Do you feel depressed?" And then it says, "Tony, since the Ducks left, I guess."
Wow.
And
And these are going to be on the Corn Corner website. So go on the Corn Corner. It's corncorner.com/Patreon, and you'll be getting that shirt.
Patreon.com/corncorner.
That's
/the
right.
Corn Corner.
Patreon. Corncorner.com is many things, so don't even go there.
No, but also I don't think these are for sale anymore, but the shirts are by Fantasy Initiative. So
That's right. So support
Anyway.
them.
Yeah.
And, well, look, when you think about something like The Sopranos, which is one of the most beloved TV shows in the world, are there any scenes where they're eating at that family table, having a family meal?
Yeah, all the time.
Is there anything gabagool? Is there anything specific? I don't mean to make that joke immediately, but is there anything specific that they're eating?
It is always the most stereotypical Italian stuff. Like there's one restaurant that the crime family always goes to called like Vesuvius or something. That's like the one, and it's constantly the antipasto and Sopranos is how I learned that gabagool isn't spelled gabagool. That's like capricola or whatever, and I remember being like, wait, what?
Wow. It makes you think, doesn't it?
There's not a G in that.
In gabagool?
And what it actually is there's not a G or a B. It's a C and a P. It's like phonetically, it's like capricola.
I thought capricola was like a dried meat.
Hold on. Now am I wrong?
And gabagool is its own discrete dish.
Capicola.
Everyone. And that's what gabagool is.
Yeah.
So gabagool is nothing.
Well, apparently they do call it that now, but it's not.
But back when The Sopranos was made.
Oh, I don't know if The Sopranos is what popularized it being called gabagool. I think it's because the pronunciation, like capicola, like gabagool. I don't fucking know. Like,
I just Googled it. Gabagool, formerly known as capicola. Gabagool is by no means the most trendy or popular Italian cold cuts, but it is just on the mouth the most fun to say. Okay. Okay. So this is actually, is it because they have such a heavy accent, which we're fine with, by the way? Italian accent is one of the most beautiful accents that they can have. But is it because they have such a heavy accent that they say it sounds like gabagool instead of capicola or whatever?
I feel like, yeah. Because it's like the Italian and Jersey Italian accent thing. Also, that's a cool thing. Most of the actors already had like that kind of affect to their voice. Like a lot of them are like Italian American, whatever.
Yeah.
But while James Gandolfini is like Italian and grew up in New Jersey, I never really heard him speak like outside of character roles or whatever. And they have interviews with him a bunch in this docuseries thing, and he sounds so different than he does when he's playing Tony that it made me. I already thought he was a really good actor, but I was like, holy shit, he's like an incredible actor.
Wow.
To like hear the voice difference and the fact that he's doing this accent while like, you know, screaming and going crazy and stuff constantly. I don't know.
What is one of the least liked characters on that TV show?
Oh, there's so many.
Like whom?
His sister. I mean his mother, but that's different. His sister. I think it's Janice, not Janet. I forget right now. But she's just like the worst. Like she just is selfish and like what a BPD girly would be back then. You know, not the like Tumblr BPD girly, not actual diagnosed. But
We're talking about bipolar disorder.
Borderline personality disorder.
Got it.
Yeah. Which is a real thing. and sucks, and a lot of
Yeah.
people use it as a scapegoat for treating people like shit.
No, it seems like it seems real, but it also
Yeah.
seems like something that is, I mean, what's a treatment for that kind of thing?
Therapy.
It's a therapy, not a medicine situation, because isn't bipolar a medicine situation?
Yeah, but this is borderline personality. They're all psychiatric things. I think a two-pronged approach with therapy and medication, which is what Tony Soprano does in being prescribed Prozac and going to therapy.
That's right.
Is the way to go.
Now with Prozac, you take that for many different things. It's like an anxiety type of medicine.
Yeah, I feel like it's a anxiety, depression. Probably people are prescribed it for like OCD, a ton of different things.
So in Breaking Bad, Walter has a sister, I believe, as well. And she was like a kind of a science person. She did all these science experiments that she stole from Walter, and people don't like her very much either.
It's Gretchen, and he was like in love with her.
I don't think he was in love with his sister. But I could rewatch.
There is a shitty sister in Breaking Bad, though. Skylar's sister, Marie. Minerals.
Now I'm just thinking about those Breaking Bad memes with the
They're
rocks.
so good.
I know. Marie.
Goddamn minerals, Marie. There are a lot of parallels between Breaking Bad and Sopranos, because like there's like the annoying ass sister, and then she has a well-meaning, bumbling husband who ends up being one of the other crime guys when Janice isn't dating the god-awful men that are the other worst characters in the show. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Does Tony Soprano get a little bit angry at those men?
Often, and murders one or
he's jealous.
many of them.
What does she do
He's not jealous.
when he murders?
Well, one of them... Oh, no, she murdered one of them.
She did it.
Yeah, because he was like... I think he was like beating her or something. That one's a... There's a whole thing where she like has like crazy sex things with this one guy. Like his fetishes. And one of the things is that they'll like be having sex and he'll be holding a gun to her head.
Nobody do that. Nobody do that.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah.
we're here in the Corner podcast. We're going to tell you, don't do that one. There's so many other things you could do. You can lick feet. If you just... Cam's got a bunch of different things you can do.
Yeah.
Don't do those.
There's also Steve Buscemi's on this show. There's so many...
what does he do on it?
He plays a cousin. Like
he
one of
acts on
Tony's
it.
cousins. Yeah. What do you think he's doing?
He plays a cousin. And he's already Italian, so there was no issues there.
I was going to be like, is he? But that last name does seem Italian, doesn't it?
About as Italian as they can get.
Yeah.
He's a great actor.
I was thinking about the King of Staten Island. 'Cause he's in that, right?
Yeah, and he's so good.
Yeah, okay. He's like the the firehouse boss, right?
He's King of Staten Island is the most underrated movie. The movie is incredible.
I don't think it's the most underrated movie, but it certainly is underrated.
It is quite underrated because that movie is a fucking banger.
Bill Burr in that, speaking of Breaking Bad, Bill Burr also in Breaking Bad.
He was? What did he play in Breaking Bad?
He's one of Saul's... You know how Saul has Hewitt, the portly black gentleman?
Yeah,
and then he has the little white bald guy. That's Bill Burr. Yeah.
Bill Burr.
You gotta Google it.
Breaking Bad. Oh, God, it already knew. It already knew what I wanted. Look at him. He's so young.
Yeah. He has hair and no mustache.
He's kind of cute. in this.
He is. Actually, he's like definitely cute on Breaking Bad.
God, what good casting on this TV show. But the whole thing about it is that we're not talking about Breaking Bad. It's simply just a way for me to connect with you right now. It's a vehicle. But what we are going to be talking about is this show, The Sopranos. Now, if you were going to start watching The Sopranos, for somebody that hasn't seen it, where would you want to start?
Episode 1.
And you're going to want to start episode 1. Where is it available? Do you have a DVD of this kind of thing or a VHS tape of this kind of thing?
I actually do have VHS box sets of season 1 and 2, but it is on Max. And I think a thing that's cool, because I've watched a lot of old HBO shows, which feels weird to call them old, but they are like 20 years old at this point, some of them. Some of them definitely don't hold up. Like, you're just like, oof, this is rough. But like, because of how they shot Sopranos and how well acted is and stuff, it actually does, like, it doesn't feel, the aspect ratio is different because in the first like 2 seasons they did square aspect ratio because of that being the standard TV.
Wow. And then they moved over to 16:9. Wow.
I know, right? So like the first one especially is just like whatever, weird.
If you had to choose for your archives at home, would you choose to have a Blu-ray, a DVD, or a VHS?
It's a complicated answer because I feel like if things were shot on film, I would want it on VHS. But if it's shot digital, then I would want like Blu-ray, DVD, whatever, because like the color grading and color space of each of those don't translate super well to the other.
Wow. And when you go on the Corn Corner podcast, you don't know you're going to learn something. But I'll tell you what, everybody, get your technical hats on because Daddy's teaching you, is what you're trying to say.
Take a sit. Big Bro's going to tell you about what coverage is on sitcoms.
Do you understand Blu-rays? Do you have them?
Do you mean how they work?
I have no idea how they work, but I don't even have any of them. I've never even used one. I've never seen one. Looks a lot like a CD.
I have DVD and Blu-ray combinations, but they play on DVD players. Like I don't have like a Blu-ray player specifically.
One disc has the Blu-ray and the DVD in it.
So like my Prometheus 4-disc collector set, one's a Blu-ray, one's a DVD. I know. One's a 3D, which I'm like, who the fuck has the capability of watching 3D stuff at home? Like, what are we? What? And then one's the bonus features. So there are separate discs for Blu-ray and DVD.
How
But I don't know if they always are. Anyway, what?
You I mean, you're watching all these things 4 discs? How much time? How much runtime could that be? What's the runtime on Prometheus? Do you know?
Like 2 hours at least. I'm not watching the 3D one because I don't have 3D shit, and also I don't like that. I'd probably get motion sick. But
oh, you would hate that.
You know me. I have stuff playing all the time when I'm hanging out.
All right, I've got the runtime of Prometheus here. Take a guess. You can get 3 choices. Take a guess on the runtime of Prometheus in minutes.
I get 3 chances, or you're giving me 3 choices to pick from?
No. You get 3 chances, and then we'll move on to potential choices.
Like 131 minutes.
Wow. Close.
What?
Close.
I'm trying. Well, you got. Is this The Price is Right? Like, I don't know what is.
I guess I should say you're too high.
Okay. 100. It's got to be 2 hours long. It just has to be 121.
Fuck. You're close. You're a little too low now.
126.
Got one more choice. Damn. You're a little too high. It's 124 minutes.
All right. Well, I was like I was within 10 minutes of it.
Yeah, but that's not the game we're playing. We're playing exactly what it is.
I know.
And people, this is the kind of stuff that comes from somebody that watches movies on a deep level.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do one more of these because this is fun. We're gonna do Alien Romulus. How long is Alien Romulus? Think back. Put yourself in that place of where you were in that theater watching it. How long were you in that theater?
I feel like that one was also close to 2 hours. So like,
give us a guess.
112.
We're a little bit high.
Huh. I'm shocked by that.
Oh wait.
Only a little bit though.
Wait. Sorry. We're a little low.
Okay. 118.
So you were right. You were shocked when I said that. So you're so right. I want to validate everybody that Cam was right there. So you were low with 112.
I say 118 for my second guess.
That's it.
Is it really?
It's 118. Now, okay, it's 118 minutes and X seconds.
Oh.
Can you get the seconds? Think about it. Put yourself in that seat. No, put your
37.
Think before you put it out, because you know this kind of thing. How many seconds?
I already said one guess. 17.
No, that's
I'm
one.
not gonna get that part.
What are you talking about? All right, try it again.
28.
No.
42.
51.
All right.
You kept getting closer.
Well,
wow.
It's actually, I'm kind of surprised that's 2 hours long.
Movies are getting too long.
Yeah, I won't.
I'll say it.
It's, there's always like that meme, whatever, of I can't focus for a 2 to 3 hour movie, but then I'll watch like 5 episodes of an hour long show. And people are always like, ugh. But also that's because the hour long show is paced in a way that makes you be like constantly engaged and wanting to know what's happening next, and there's more after it. So it's a different beast than a movie where you're like, Jesus Christ, how much of this is left before it's over? I don't know.
It's different psychologically.
Yeah. Did you ever see like I still haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon because it's like 3.5 hours long or some shit.
I don't even know what that is.
It's just a Martin Scorsese movie.
I haven't seen it, but there's no way I would watch that movie. Way too long.
No.
I got a life. I got a life to live.
I remember it was during COVID, I think, this one that he did that was on Netflix called like The Irishman. That was a Pacino De Niro movie, but it was also like 3 hours long, and I was still smoking then, and we went for like 5 smoke breaks because it was such a long movie. Like,
it's too long. There's no story that takes that long to tell. I'm gonna get on my soapbox right now, but
do it.
I think that people making things serious is not always the best thing either, because like I think a lot of series are really boring. Like I think that Breaking Bad, which is a movie or a TV show that's a lot similar to Sopranos, went for 6 seasons. Just enough time. You did the right thing. You got in, you got out. But these shows like The Office went way too long.
Yeah, no show needs to be like 20 seasons. Like, or they're like 10 seasons with 20 episodes in each season. That's absurd.
But I also think I think taking something and having characters that can have full own movies essentially about them is what makes it cool. Like, taking Breaking Bad, which is really similar to Sopranos. Hank, you got a whole thing about him. We know a lot about that man.
Well, like his own side story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you care about, like, it's not, I think some shows it's easy to tune in and only care about the main character and be like, all right, when are we getting back to, but you do care about on Sopranos too. Although there are some characters that I was like, I don't give a shit what's happening in this storyline.
Now, okay, so we got to think about The Sopranos a little bit more. And how's the fashion on that show? What are those people wearing?
It's spectacular because it's New Jersey Italian Americans. The women, when you should just look up pictures of Carmela in like the first few seasons, because it's like the entire characterization of them with the hair, the makeup, the nails, the jewelry, all of it, to like the homes that they live in with the weird, pillar decorations, like a vase on a pillar, like what the fuck, like that kind of shit.
Wow, this is incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. The nails.
It's also like the nails are great. There's so many of them. Like they all the women look like that in different ways in different generations. And it's such a good time capsule of like, there was a clip where the whole family was sitting at a table eating, and Meadow, the daughter, had the like, remember when girls would like twist the hair and put the little butterfly clippies? Like there'd be like 10 twisty things here and into the clippies. Yeah.
That's
and
what
then
she
your
was
hair would
doing?
be down in the back. Yeah. But it's like, we'd forget about that, and other generations don't even know about that shit. But then you see it and you're like, holy shit, that was such a moment. And also, it's like the phenomenon where shows are responsible for inadvertent marketing of certain things, like Breaking Bad with that fucking Aztec car that he drove.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Or
like in
Denny's.
Sopranos, yeah. And in Sopranos, Tony gets Carmela a Porsche Cayenne, which was Porsche's like SUV, whatever, kind of like mom SUV. Yeah. And like then people bought them like fucking crazy.
Wow.
Because like they saw it in The Sopranos.
I wonder what did the documentary say about his idea for making The Sopranos?
It was like born of his own life experiences, because David Chase is also a second or first generation immigrant, I think, Italian American, who grew up in Jersey. And I don't know if there were like definitive mob connections with his family, but he like was like, there was shit going on. But then it was also that he was going to therapy. So then he came up with the like, what if a mob boss goes to therapy storyline, whatever.
That's so good.
Yeah. And then like, what does that look like in terms of, because mob shit was always like in the city. So like, what does that look like in Jersey, in rural Jersey instead? And he's a family man and whatever.
Well, coming from somebody who's never seen the show, but has seen things similar to the show, there's different shows, like Breaking Bad's one of them that is quite similar to it. How does he ever get a little bit, I don't want to use the word fixed in therapy, but does this man, the Carmelo man, ever get kind of where he graduates and doesn't have to be in therapy anymore?
I don't think so. I think that's kind of like the whole thing with how it ends also, is that like he learns some things, but he definitely just keeps doing his bullshit, and there's never like necessarily resolution overall. Like nothing is buttoned up necessarily, like totally fixed, which I think is good. I don't know.
I think it's good too.
Fun storytelling. Yeah.
Life. It's kind of life.
Exactly. Have you seen any mob movies or anything?
I don't think so. I've seen some
Have you never seen like
cartel kind of stuff. What?
Have you not seen Goodfellas?
I don't think I've seen Goodfellas. Got the basic
Goodfellas.
idea though. Got the basic idea.
Target brand Goodfellas.
Yeah. I don't know. It's probably about mobs and they do bad stuff, but then there's one of them that's kind of good and.
Not really.
Right.
But like,
probably.
I mean, Ray Liotta's the main character, and he just is also kind of a piece of shit. But Lorraine Bracco,
Yeah, there's got to be something redeeming about him.
His pretty blue eyes.
That's right, and those get you a long way.
You should watch Goodfellows at some point, though.
Okay. How long is it? What's the runtime?
Well, it's also a Scorsese movie, so it's probably like it's a solid 180.
180, you think?
No, that's not true. No, it's not 3 hours long. It's probably like, I don't know. I'd say it's around 2 hours, probably. Like maybe a 130 something. 134. I don't know.
You keep confusing me because you keep saying 2 hours and then you give the minutes. So I got to do all this mental calculations in my head. It's 60 minutes isn't an hour, 2 hours, 120, and then you throw it around because you all talk about this shit all the time. So you're like, oh, it's got to be about to be a 120, whatever. So it's just there's a learning curve, and you're exploiting that in me. You think it's funny.
I just said it was 2 hours and 11 minutes. Let's stop with that.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours and 26 minutes, so you are pretty close there.
It is a good one, though.
Was there a Halloween episode of The Sopranos now that we're kind of moving into the Halloween style of season, that sort of season?
I mean, there has to be an episode in which Halloween things happen, surely. But I don't. I mean, it's not like The Office where it's like we're having a costume party.
Wow. Well, I guess, do you have any last words about The Sopranos?
I think that if you haven't watched Sopranos, you should check out a few episodes at least. Or if you haven't, you could watch this docuseries 2-episode thing that's on Max. And still be like, well, this was cool because I learned stuff about writing or filmmaking just from watching that and things I'd want to do in the future. Also, if you do end up watching it, remember that this is from a period of time where cinema wasn't ruined because of woke.
Wow. You're so right. You're so right. You could say whatever you wanted to.
Yeah. There's a thing, a little interview with Edie Falco, who plays Carmela, in this series thing where she talks about how so much of the show was so shocking and so like real and raw, and she was like, and I like, no offense to anyone, but because we didn't have to do trigger warnings then, because now before an episode of TV that has like domestic violence or something, they will have a like, if you or someone is experiencing domestic violence, call blah blah blah, like they'll put it before and after the episode. But like then a character gets like brutally R-worded and they're not putting anything before or after the episode. It just fucking happens. Like
God.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not fun.
But it's not, and it's rough, but I think there is something to be said for the element of surprise in storytelling and wanting to make people uncomfortable, and these things weren't used in a gratuitous way. Like they weren't just throwing this like type of violence specifically out constantly. It like was for a purpose in the story. Anyway, that's my
look, if you watch it, make sure you watch it with the lights on. Let us know how you feel about it. Reach out to us on the Discord and reach out to us at patreon.com/thecorncorner. And we're going to love that.
Yeah. Or also even just in the YouTube comments, because those are fun to answer sometimes, especially because you don't know which one of us is doing it.
That is true. You have no idea. But what you do know is that with the Corn Corner podcast, as long as you sign up to one of the tiers on the Patreon financially, it doesn't matter if you're shucked.
Or if you're creamed, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it
doesn't matter what kind of corn you are.
That's right. It only matters if you're kind
Corn on patreon.com/the Corn Corner, where you can sign up for any level and you'll get the same exact things no matter what you sign up for. But we appreciate it more the more you give us.
That's right. All right, people. Well, go watch The Soprano and let us know what you think.